Man, I go on vacation for a week on my honeymoon with my wife, and it seems like the whole world went crazy. I tried to put away politics and news for the week, but I don't know if y'all heard, but Donald Trump was convicted guilty on all 34 counts in his rigged New York case. I say rigged because one, it's in Democrat stronghold territory. Two, the corporate media has lied about him every step of the way since he first ran in 2016 or for the 2016 election. And three, there's no way that he could have gotten a fair jury in this trial. So that's why I decided to wear this shirt today to showcase that. And I'm sure that everybody has heard about this by now, so I'm a little late to the party on talking about it, but figured I would start with that. When I was first making my notes of this week, at first Donald Trump had raised $200 million, but since the conviction, he has raised over $400 million for his campaign. So I'm glad that he's raising all this money for his campaign, but nobody thought that this would go this far, and I don't know why. So it wouldn't surprise me if they actually do try to put him in jail for this. We'll see if that happens or not, though, because this case may get thrown into a mistrial because a Facebook post has surfaced that claimed that the day before the conviction was brought down, somebody on Facebook made a post saying that they're a family member of one of the jurors and that they knew that Trump was going to be found guilty the next day. So they made this post a day before the actual conviction came down, which may result this in a mistrial. I think maybe Judge Merchan, however you say that shitbag's name, may be facing a lot of pressure on social media and stuff, and he's like, oh shit. So he might throw this to a mistrial. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't, though, because, you know, I've stated before, his daughter is making a ton of money off of this thing by like political fundraising and stuff, and he's just a Democrat douche. So it wouldn't surprise me if he just has no integrity on this whatsoever, because he already has it. Yeah. So speaking of presidents, or in this case, former Vice President Joe Biden, he has apparently given Ukraine authorization to strike targets within the Russian borders using weapons that we supplied to Ukraine. This is bad because Russia has threatened war with NATO if Ukraine does something like this. And I believe they might have by this point. I don't know for sure, so don't quote me on that. So this is going to be point number 2 of why I'm voting for Trump this November, to end these wars. Because if you remember when Trump was in office, he had a timeline to get our troops out of the Middle East, which Biden screwed up. And nobody was feeling froggy while he was in office. Russia didn't invade Ukraine while he was president. China wasn't trying to make moves on Taiwan at that time. So if you don't want war, vote for Trump this November. Biden apparently strengthened the southern border by trying to reauthorize some stuff that Trump did in his term, but he's still going to allow 2,500 illegal aliens to cross every day before the border gets shut down. So, you know, by the end of 1 week, we could still see a minimum of, what would that be, 15,000 people come across? Yeah, it just... does anybody else see this? Really, does anybody else see how stupid this shit is? Speaking of shit, Biden apparently pooped himself again at the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion ceremony in France. So, lefties, that's the guy you voted for, who has soiled himself in front of the Pope. In France, at the Normandy D-Day ceremony, and allegedly crop dusted the Duchess of Cornwall when he was in the UK. So, yeah, real good choice there, guys. Real good choice. It just boggles my mind. Boggles my mind. Um, Speaking of nothing happening, Fauci testified before Congress again, and pretty much admitted that the 6 foot social distancing rule was made up, and proceeded to lie more about COVID protocols. And we have videotapes of him just flat out lying, and flip flopping on things about the 6 foot rule and masks and all this other stuff. So it is amazing to me how he's not in prison yet, but we all see that the aristocracy in DC is going to protect their own before actually doing what's right for this country. So keep all this in mind next time your lefty cousins or aunts and uncles or whoever tries to tell you to trust the science, because he just admitted in front of Congress that they made a bunch of this crap up. Speaking of trusting more science, this guy from the CDC by the name of Robert Redford admitted that a bunch of stuff that was once considered misinformation was all true, which we all, us average Joes, knew, within the year of COVID being a thing by the end of 2020. And he basically said that the COVID jabs saw, effectiveness, and said that he, as a doctor, saw many cases of adverse side effects and injuries from the COVID jab. So, if you are glad that you didn't get it, drop a like down below and share this with some of your friends, because more people need to hear this. And speaking of... Oh, wow. Yeah, I forgot about this. So, we all know that the Democrats are, like, really the actually racist ones, right? Like, we should all know this, but to really exemplify this point, Chelsea Handler recently said, or I think the video might be resurfaced from the past or something, but she said, and I quote, that she, quote, had to remind 50 Cent he was black and couldn't vote for Trump, end quote. I guess they were dating a while back or something, but still keeping contact or whatever. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, but this just goes to show how blatantly racist liberals are, because if you didn't know, Chelsea Handler is a white woman, and she is telling a black man that he is black and he needs to be in his place. I don't know about you, but that sounds a lot like what people were doing in, pre-1964 with, segregated bathrooms and restaurants and buses and stuff. Like, oh no, you black man need to sit in the back corner because you're black. Know your place. That's essentially what Chelsea Handler said in this quote. And it blows my mind how just incompetent these people are. Like, how can a majority of liberals be, like, college educated, but so stupid at the same time? Like, this just boggles my mind. And studies have shown that liberals tend to be more racist than anybody else. Like, I think it was a Harvard study that showed that liberals tend to talk down to minorities more than conservatives. And I wouldn't doubt that data at all, because we see quotes like Chelsea Handler, who said that she, quote, had to remind 50 Cent he was black and couldn't vote for Trump, end quote. Just boggles my mind. And the last thing here, this is a little bit of old news as well, but For those that don't know who Dave Smith is, he is a very staunch libertarian political commentator on the internet. He does a couple podcasts. One of them is more of a comedy podcast. He does another one called Part of the Problem that's all about like news and politics and stuff. But Dave Smith went on the Patrick Bet David podcast, hosted by Patrick Bet David, and debated Chris Cuomo for like 2 hours on mostly COVID stuff, but also some more just news and politics stuff is what they ended with. And my God, I have never seen a beatdown as brutal as that. I mean, Dave Smith ran laps around Cuomo and just eviscerated him on every single point. And I do not understand either why PBD still has Chris Cuomo on their roster of talent. Because one, that's a waste of fucking talent. And two, Chris Cuomo is the epitome of what is wrong with our corporate news outlets today. I'm not going to call them mainstream either, and I've said this in the past, because their numbers are dwindling by the day, and it is only a matter of time before they just completely die out altogether. And I cannot wait until these liars are out of a job and are looking for something else. So to them, I say, learn to code. But let me read you a quote here from Chris Cuomo in this debate. And this quote, he said, came about during some of the stuff that they were talking about with COVID and the COVID protocols and stuff, like lockdowns and the vaccine mandates and stuff. So keep that in mind when I read this to you. He said, and I quote, "You have to make them think that's what they want," end quote. He said that in regards to COVID lockdowns, mandatory vaccinations, and just allowing the government to tell you what to do with your life. This quote here single-handedly explains why so many people like myself hate Chris Cuomo and everything that the corporate media apparatuses stand for. And I firmly believe, and I've left these comments on the PBD podcast before too, that we as the audience of these shows absolutely need to boycott them until Chris Cuomo is gone. Anything that Chris Cuomo does needs to have the Bud Light treatment times 10. Because he is a liar, he is a scumbag, and he has no business being anywhere in media or in a place of influence to give people information or try to be an influencer, for lack of a better word. I wish no physical harm on the man, but as we saw with Bud Light, maybe if his pocketbook takes a big hit, he's going to change his mind. You know, when the whole Bud Light fiasco happened, they fired a couple people real quick, and they were trying to course correct really quick because they saw a massive hit to their bottom line. And I wish the same thing for Chris Cuomo. Like, when you have to look at your children and say, I messed up by doing A, B, and C, and now we have to move to a smaller house and get rid of the car because we can't afford it because of my mistake, then maybe you will think twice about smearing people like Joe Rogan, who was given medication by his doctor, and it was known at the time when he got it that early stage or early treatment of COVID with medicines like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine that are prescribed by a doctor can actually help stave off the infection and the sickness. I'm not saying to go to Rural King or Tractor Supply or whatever and get the horse doses and try doing it yourself. You know, not saying that. But if your doctor is prescribing you a medicine and some other people are talking shit about it, like, that is horrible. That is disgraceful and disgusting. So, if you agree with me, let me know. If you disagree with me, let me know. I would love to know either way. And if you also want to see a boycott of Chris Cuomo and everything he does, let other people know and let his employers know too, because he's on the PBD podcast and I believe Newsmax. So I would like to see him just gone from the public eye, completely gone. I don't ever want to see his face ever again, and I will not listen to another thing that PBD does with Chris Cuomo on it. So, all right. With that being said, I'm gonna wrap up here. If you enjoyed this or got a laugh out of me ranting and raving about stuff, give me a like and let me know what you think down in the comments below. So, all right. With that being said, I will see you all next time.